All right. Hi, guys. My name's Abby Warren. I am an Emerald Ambassador with Plexus, and I am so excited about this business event tonight. Um, we have three lovely ladies, and who are going to share a little bit of their health story, their business story, and I'm going to share a little bit of mine also. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I feel like it's a very diverse crowd. We all have unique backgrounds, unique stories. So I hope that everybody can find a connecting point with one of us tonight. So a little bit about me. I am a mom of five. I am a retired labor and delivery nurse. My husband and I started dating in college, got married right after college. He went to med school. I started nursing school, and we immediately started having babies. And so we found ourselves, he was in med school, I was in nursing school, and I was having my first baby. And so we literally had zero income at one point in our lives, which was interesting, but somehow we made it work. I'm not really sure how that worked out. But we now have five beautiful children, four girls and one little boy. And I had 5 years in labor and delivery, and I also was a lactation consultant. I absolutely loved my job, but because of his crazy schedule and hours, the last couple years of my nursing career, I started, let's see, anyway, the last couple years of my nursing career, I started working what's called Baylor. So if you're a nurse, you probably know what Baylor shift is. It's weekend nights. So he worked during the week most of the time, sometimes on weekends, and then I would go to work Friday, Saturday, or Sunday nights. I'd usually work 2 or 3 nights a weekend, and I would work all night long. And then I would come home, sleep a couple of hours, and then take care of babies all week. So after I had my third baby, it got to be just a little bit much. We were dependent on our family for childcare. And so I decided to retire from nursing after my third baby. And so he started doing what's called moonlighting. So he would pick up extra shifts on top of his like 60, 70, 80-hour work week. He worked extra so I could stay home with our babies. And, I was like the crazy coupon lady. Like, I'm not even kidding. I would go into Publix with a shoebox full of coupons, and I would save more than I spent, and I'd have like 18 of one thing because it was BOGO and I had coupons. So um, you know, it was very tight, but we made it work. And then so he came out of residency, and we took a job we were in Birmingham, Alabama. We moved to Lower Alabama, and he took a job in a small town, and I continued to stay at home. But we had an astronomical amount of debt from his medical school, and just the time that we had no income when I was in nursing school. So anyway, we had actually four children at that time, and then we ended up getting pregnant with our fifth baby. So he had a good job and was making money, but we had this debt that literally felt like just a weight on our chest, on our shoulders, and we really wanted to get out from under that debt. We didn't want to be digging out of a hole for the next 15 years. So here I am. I've just had my fifth baby. My hormones were absolutely out of whack, crazy. I was super moody. I had always kind of bounced back after my babies, but this time I was just exhausted. I really think my body was just from being pregnant and nursing over and over and over, my body was just kind of like, we're tired. Like, it was really tired. And so I was eating right. I was trying to, and I would do good all day until the kids went to bed. And then it was like brownie, ice cream, cookie, sugar. What can I get my hands on? The sugar cravings were out of control. Um, and super moody, wasn't sleeping well, just a hot mess, basically. So my friend Lindsay started posting about plexus on Facebook, and I kid you not, I messaged her and I said, Lindsay, somebody has hacked your Facebook account and they're posting this plexus stuff, because I knew that my friend Lindsay would never, ever, ever be selling something on Facebook. That was just not a possibility. And my husband even saw it too. And he was like, did you see somebody hacked Lindsay Bryant's account? And I'm like, I know, it's so funny. So anyway, she laughed and she was like, no, she's like, I actually am using these products and I love them and you need to try them. So she had just had a baby too. We were kind of pregnant together, delivered like a couple days, weeks apart. So, I mean, I was so desperate. I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't even know what it is. I don't care what's in it. Just send me some. Literally no research. I just trusted a friend and jumped in. And Lindsay had just started too. So she pretty much had no clue what she was doing either. So I started on the products. They totally transformed my health. I was having crazy low blood sugars where, you know, that shaky feeling where your blood sugar drops and you just feel dizzy. And I would feel like I was going to pass out in the shower, and it's like you're reaching for carbs. So that was the first thing that I noticed went away. And it was like a light bulb went off. When that happened, I thought, okay, this stuff is supposed to help with blood sugar, and I'm not having these lows anymore. So I was like, okay, something's happening in my body. So I just trusted the process. I stuck with it, and I started losing weight over the next couple months. I felt good. People were noticing, but I wanted no part of the business. I just was like, I don't have time. I don't want to do this. So in the meantime, I was exploring other opportunities, and I was praying, God, will you just show me, you know, I know I have these 5 babies, but I really just want something just for me. And y'all, I was looking at like starting a children's clothing store, like a brick and mortar children's clothing store. Can you imagine? 5 kids. I mean, how in the heck was I going to do that? And I really started thinking logistically, like, I want to be home with my kids, and I'm sitting here thinking about starting this brick and mortar store. That's going to take me away from my family. Like, I'm going to be at this store like all day, every day, and probably on the weekends and at night. So anyway, just kind of over the next couple of months, I really just feel like God just kind of made a light bulb go off in my head. Like, Abby, you have this plexus thing sitting in your lap. And y'all, I was telling people about plexus and saying, go talk to my friend Lindsay. She'll sign you up, because I don't have time to just, I can't be bothered with this. So go to Lindsay. So after a while, I just thought, you know what? I think that the thing that I've been praying for is literally sitting right in my lap. And I have been looking for something that I considered traditional and mainstream and acceptable, because I had previously sworn I would never, ever, ever do network marketing. I hated it. I had seen friends go into debt over it with different companies, where you have these high buy-ins and you have to meet all these quotas. And anyway, I had just seen some really bad things happen to my friends with different companies. So I swore I would never do it. So anyway, there I am. We have all this debt. I have 5 kids, but I've had this amazing health transformation, and I have this business sitting in my lap. So I just kind of threw caution to the wind and said, you know what? I really feel like God has brought me this opportunity, and these products have helped me so much. And I kind of think I'd be crazy not to share this with people. I feel like there's so many people who can relate to my health story. And so anyway, I just went all in with the business, and I just cannot tell you. I mean, I love the products, and I truly think that the products are transformational, but I love the business probably even more than the products, because it's it's just exactly what I needed when I needed it. You know, the products helped me get my health back, but the business helped me get Abby back. You know, and I think when you're in that season of having babies, you really can tend to kind of lose yourself. You know, you're just pregnant and you're having babies, and you're just taking care of people, you know, and it's just like you kind of forget who you are and the gifts that you have as an individual that God's given you. So I think that this journey of just sharing health and sharing, you know, just another way with other people has been such an incredible blessing. I mean, the girls that I work with on my team and the men, we're starting to get some men trickle in, which is really fun. Some husband-wife teams. It is just like rewarding to, like, that is just such an understatement, just to see health transformations, to see people's finances transform, and to know that I have a small part in that. And I really don't feel like I can take credit for it, but just to know that my just letting my guard down and just saying, you know what, I don't care what people think. I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to share what's working for me. Just to know that that's had an impact on other people's lives is absolutely amazing. And you know, the first time when we picked up our, so when you hit Emerald with Plexus, you get, Plexus pays for you to have a Lexus, and we have 5 kids. So there's really not a Lexus that works for me, but my husband was literally driving the car that, his parents gave us when we first got married. We've been married for 15 years and it was kind of falling apart. And so I can remember driving to the Lexus dealership the morning that I picked it up after I hit Emerald. And I knew, like, I was giving this car to my husband and I was just bawling just to know, like, it was just, I don't know. It was just such a sweet moment of like, man, this guy is like so sacrificial and has done so much for us and me and our family. And he's worked so hard. And I get to give him a brand new Lexus. Like, I was so flippin' excited about that. And I was like, this is awesome. And then we actually gave his car away to somebody who was in need of a car. And it's just fun, y'all. And I feel like I have 50 stories like that. That's just like, it's just so fun. And I don't know, I cannot say enough good things about like the doors that have opened through this opportunity. So if you're watching this and listening and just considering saying yes to this, I would just say, just go for it. I feel like this company is amazing. I feel like the integrity cannot be matched. The products are unbelievable. And just the culture that we have really is second to none. So I have probably talked way too long, but I am going to turn it over to another Emerald ambassador, Miss Ricky James. So Ricky, take it away.
Hey, you guys. So super excited to be sharing with y'all. I love that story because I love that it is definitely different than mine. So my story is kind of funny. I actually signed up 5 years ago, but did nothing with the business, kind of like Abby. I didn't need the products. I didn't need the business. We made plenty of money. We owned a couple of oil field businesses. But I'm in love with health and wellness and natural healing. So the person who signed me, I trusted her. She's and a few other ladies that kind of all signed with her. They were all into natural health as well. So I thought, that this would, oh, there goes my baby crying, of course, right when I start chatting. So I knew that these were probably high quality products that I could at least keep in my house to like share with other people, even for free. I remember I bought a couple of retailers packs right away and kept them in my house just to give away. And then I went silver right away. I signed a few people right away, but then I shut my Facebook down completely. We had a lot of stuff happening in our lives personally, sister-in-law with brain cancer, my aunt died, remodeling and moving hours away. We had a lot of stress happen. And so I shut my Facebook down completely and I did nothing at all with the business for 2 years. But I didn't want to, and I sure didn't need the product. So I had 4 babies up to this point. natural or home births, depending. And I bounced right back. I lost all my weight, felt really great. So I didn't feel like I needed either of them, right? So that all changed with baby number 5. He ended up being a surprise C-section. He supposedly had this heart problem, so he couldn't even try breech at home. Anyways, his heart was perfect, praise the Lord. But I did have to have this terrible C-section, which you guys, I just told you, like, health and wellness is my passion. So to be stuck in a hospital was torture for me. It was awful. And not only that, but I had just gone 10 years with no meds in my body. And then all of a sudden I'm like, here I have this C-section, right? So that is really hard on a body. It shredded my gut. I didn't even really realize it until a few months in, when not only was I not losing my baby weight like normal, but I was just gaining. So about 10 months after that C-section, I was at an all-time low. I hurt all day. My joints hurt. My skin hurt. Like all of my body, my skin hurt. My tummy would hurt, not on my scar, but higher up, like my tummy, the skin on the outer part of my tummy, because I was so inflamed. I was big, puffy, and I wasn't sleeping at night, was napping during the day. It was a struggle to do homeschool with the kids. So I do have 6 kids. I don't know if I said that. Ages 1, and my little one is a little over 1, and my oldest is almost 16. And so, it was rough. And so I somehow started these products. It was just a crazy turn of events that I even tried them again. I don't even know. It was a God thing, really. Started the products. Within a couple of weeks, I was blown away by how I felt. I got online and researched every ingredient, and then was blown away by each of these ingredients and synergistically what they did with each other and all of this. And then one of the first people I called was Yarrow, who y'all will hear from her next. And I just could not believe that I had this gold in my hands. Number 1, couldn't believe I'd never really tried it before. And then number 2, I was really excited to be able to share this with other people. So when I started this, I was going to do the business 100% because I had already seen my friends who had started 2 years before me. They were all diamond at this point. And I'd already seen them do it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do it, and I can do it because they had done it, right? I totally knew I could. My belief was 100%. I acted like a Joel from day one. It's actually kind of funny because we took a trip about a year in. I was Ruby. I was only Ruby, which is a big deal, but I was Ruby, and in my mind, I was a Joel, and I traveled up to Canada. I'm in Texas. Yara was on Vancouver Island, and I went all the way up there. We did all these meetings, and I remember one of the things that Mitch, my husband, just made a little comment about it or whatever, and I kind of realized that, like, I really was acting like I don't even know. I literally thought in my mind from day one, I had zero belief issues because I had already seen all these other people do it, right? And a few months later, I was Emerald. I went to this, I got Emerald in 17 months, which same as Abby. The Lexus thing kind of blew me away. I walked out of the grocery store one day and saw it and was like, weird that, like, what? That's like free. And like, it's a very proud moment. And you saying too that you kind of lose yourself in your kids. At that point, my oldest was 13 when I started. And that's really, besides our other oil field businesses, that's really all I'd done. I had never done anything outside the house. So this was so fulfilling. It was so fulfilling to be able to help these other women with their health. That's all I cared about at first. So I actually didn't understand the business or know what I was making or really even know how to help anyone else make money for way too long because I didn't care about the money at all. And so it was really hard and really weird when I finally switched it. It took me, not switched it, but even realized that these products and the business are equally as exciting, right? Because I just came into this thinking that honestly, the products are what was exciting to me. It was exciting to me to be able to transform people's health because that's what I loved, right? And I didn't need the money. So it was hard for me to see how that could be a blessing to someone. You understand what I'm saying? So to be able to help people do both, very quickly it became addicting. And I'm like, oh my, this is a big deal. This is a big deal to help people with their finances and to help mamas feel that worth more. I get a lot of worth out of my kids. They are literally my everything, but it is different when you're in this world and you're succeeding and you've got Alexis paid for and you get these trips paid for. Once again, we had traveled a lot as a family. I know Yarrow has traveled, she's a big traveler. And Mitch and I remember the first time we went to Hawaii, one of the first things we said, we kind of looked at each other and we were like, we're in Hawaii, but it's not on our dime. And we're surrounded by a whole lot of people that we really love. Like, where else can you go on this amazing vacation, but you're surrounded by people who you respect and you love. And so the friendships that I have cultivated in this, oh my goodness, I can't say enough about. I mean, most of these people I would have never even known before, right? And so that is exciting to me, to be able to cultivate these relationships, be able to go on trips, to be able to freely give. And although we have been broke. Years before Plexus, there were years in our marriage we were really, really broke. So I do get that. But when I started Plexus, we were not. And so we'd already spent a few years of generously giving, and we love to give. I love to give. And I love that I can make this money and generously give and do crazy, wild things that people are like, you're insane. You're insane. But then on the flip side, the other person who's accepting is in tears, and you literally can do big, huge, wild, crazy things with your money that it's super exciting. So that has been a big blessing in this business that I never really even thought about beforehand, right? So yay, I'm only at 7 minutes. I put a timer on myself because I was like, because I can ramble. But my big thing here is that we are a part of something that is so much bigger, right? I talk about, if you go into public now, you see how fussy and unfulfilled and just unhealthy even people are. And I can tell you guys, from that brief 10 months that I didn't feel well, I felt so unwell that it was hard to just have any kind of motivation during the day, even to just smile at your kids. Sometimes it's hard. I feel almost robbed of that time that I didn't feel well because it was just rough. So you see that it's hard for people to even dream when they're feeling rough, So when you can switch that in someone, when you have any hand at all in transforming someone's life, giving them their spark back, right? Whether it's in their marriage or in their parenting with their children, that's exciting. So I love that we're part of this company that is debt-free, that we have so many people at these higher levels that are of utmost character. They are just amazing people. And the few trips that we've done to corporate have blown me away. I am so proud to be a part of this company. Same thing too with super clean products, because I would bail fast if they were not the cleanest of the clean. I would not be here because that is so important to me too. So I love everything that Plexus stands for. And I love that this is our future. My husband is in love with it now too. And I can say that too. In the midst, when I was building with Plexus, the oil field crashed, and praise the Lord, we had money put up from all of that. But he took off a year and a half, completely took off and just stayed home because there's no use in even trying to do anything in the oil field when it's crashed like it is. And that was kind of when we started realizing too, like, we have something different. He's back in now. His businesses are doing well again, but they won't forever because oil will bust again. And Plexus will still be here growing in the meantime, right? Like, this is longevity. This is a legacy company that is going to be here for our children. And that is exciting too, the way our comp plan is laid out, all of that. So that's enough for me. And I'm going to, okay, so next to me, who y'all are going to hear from next is Yarrow. Well, Yarrow is how all the Canadians say her name, but I've always called her Yarrow. When we lived in France together, so I graduated early and moved to France for a year, and Yarrow was there as an exchange student too. And she somehow didn't tell me the whole year we lived there when I called her Yarrow, and then named my first daughter. My daughter's name is Calandra. Her middle name is Yarrow. Never told me that I was saying her name wrong. And then I went to visit her in Canada, like 12 years later, and I was there and everybody was calling her Yarrow, Yarrow. I was like, what on earth? Like, literally, so I can't change it now. Like, my oldest daughter, we say Calandra Yarrow. And so anyways, Yarrow is a beautiful midwife. We have been really good friends for years. And she was one of the first people that I called. And I think she had the same belief as me from the beginning. She wasn't in a big rush either to be successful, but she is Canadian. So she is one of only 12 diamonds, I think, in Canada, which is super exciting. Another thing I love about the company, right? I'm in Texas and she's in Canada. So anyways, I'm going to be quiet and let Yarrow tell y'all her story.
Oh, thank you. Well, I don't care how you say my name. Everyone I answer to anything because I have been called so many things over the course of my life. No one knew how to pronounce my name. Um, but yeah, so lovely to be here with you tonight. And probably have an accent compared to everybody else, but everyone else who's spoken tonight has such a thick accent to me. It's awesome. So like Ricky said, I'm an Emerald ambassador, and I live on Vancouver Island, which is a small island. I mean, the population of Canada is minuscule compared to the US, right? And so I live on this small island, and we have a really vibrant, thriving team here. And I started, so Ricky, almost, yeah, just 3 years ago, she was like, you got to try this stuff. And I was thinking, well, okay, if it's being recommended by Ricky, of course I will try it. I knew her dedication to health and wellness and her expertise in the area. And like she said, I'm a midwife. So using supplements and holistic health has been something that I have, I've done for years. And I was raised in a really health conscious family, and looking back, I feel like my parents were really ahead of the ball in terms of preventative health. And so it's always been something that I've really valued, but I never had the tools that were as simple and effective as plexus. So when Ricky suggested I try these, of course, I dove into the research and looked at all the ingredients and felt, okay, this is something that I could really get behind. These are really thoughtful combinations. So I jumped on board. But of course, just like most people, I thought, I'm not going to do this as a business. I'm probably not even going to tell anybody that I'm doing it. I'm going to take these products for myself. My youngest had just turned 1. And similar to Abby, I had this nasty sugar habit that would come out after the kids went to sleep. During the day, we were very whole food focused and organic. And I would never let my kids eat what I was putting in my body after they went to sleep. And it was this like nasty, dirty little secret that I had. It's like cupboard full of junk food, right? That would otherwise, never pass the lips of anybody else that I loved. And yet I was giving it to myself, which really just speaks to how we feel about ourselves. And I have always been so hard on myself, like most women, I imagine, especially being somebody who really thrived academically, thrived professionally, was well respected in the community. And yet my self-esteem and the love that I had for myself was so low. And at this time, I was exhausted. I was cranky. I had young kids. I was working full time. I was on call 24/7, in a job that is very stressful. It's beautiful at times, but it also meant that my family was constantly taking the back burner. And I was always putting everybody else's needs before mine, before my family's, was often up for days at a time in high stress situations at times. And I wasn't coping anymore. To the outside world, I was doing great. But inside, I had this voice that was just breaking me down, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I wasn't prioritizing my health and wellness. And so, I've seen naturopaths for years. I've taken supplements for years, but I never felt like it was doing anything. So I was definitely at an all-point low in terms of my health and well-being when Ricky told me about these products. And so, of course, I was game to try. So I started, and within a couple of weeks, I noticed my sugar cravings were almost non-existent. And those energy crashes that I was having in the afternoon were non-existent. I was not doing, the 4:00 pickup from daycare and school and driving through Starbucks on the way home just to make it through the afternoon. And, counting down the minutes until my kids would go to bed. And I felt like Ricky said, my life was robbed of this joy, and I wasn't present, and I wasn't showing up in my life as the mom and wife that I wanted to be. And after a couple of weeks of taking these products, I really started to notice a shift in my happiness, a shift in my health. I felt lighter and brighter than I had since before my daughter was born. And I knew that the products were effective. I knew that they worked, and people started to notice. And slowly people started to ask, well, what are you doing? And because we are women, we talk about how we're doing, and we talk about how many times we were up during the night, and we talk about how much sleep we got. And, we talk about how hard it is. And it was so wonderful to talk about how amazing something was in my life, instead of feeling like I was constantly just griping about how stressed and tired I was, and how my kids were grouchy, and how I was grouchy, and how I couldn't stand my husband. And, those things really get you down. And so I felt like I had good news to share, something that was helpful and that was making me feel better. So quickly the word spread, and we grew very fast. And then we launched in Canada. And then we kind of hit this plateau. And it was really interesting because I never expected to do the business. But once I had that personal experience with the products and I knew how much this could help others, I couldn't shut my mouth. And the business part was totally accidental. And it wasn't something I was looking for. I was busy enough as it was. And I thought, there's no way I can fit this into my life. And so it was just fitting it into the nooks and crannies at first. And it wasn't even intentional necessarily. It was that people were catching on. And as somebody who had introduced them, I was like, oh, well, now I have to deal with these people. And I have to deal with people wanting to join and knowing more. And, so kind of was thrown in and swept up in something so fantastic and so positive. And we have started, so my husband's an entrepreneur. And since our daughter was born, he's opened 2 businesses, but he actually hasn't earned a paycheck. And so we live on my income, and we live very comfortably, but it meant that I was working full on all the time and had really very little balance. And so when Plexus started generating an income, I was kind of shocked by that. And that first paycheck is a couple $100, and then a couple $1,000, and you just think, oh my gosh, is this for real? I'm sharing something that I love. People are feeling better. I'm feeling better, and I'm getting paid to do this. And so it was kind of this light bulb moment. And looking at my husband, he was starting a business at the same time. So we were kind of parallel, but his business was a traditional business, right? And so it was super high startup costs, tons of bureaucracy, politics, red tape. It took him 8 months longer than he expected to open this business. And we were in a lot of debt because of it. And he hadn't even earned a cent yet. And it took a couple of years before it even started generating, an income. So to have this at that time, to allow him to pursue his dreams, but also to see how doable this is. And this is literally a business in a box, right? Like, you get the box when you sign up, and it walks you through step by step. And it is proven, like Ricky said, she, all of her uplines are diamonds. And so she had that belief, and she'd seen it happen. And that these people are using the same systems, and they're doing the same things, and everyone gets to bring their personality. They get to bring who they are and what makes them just light up. But we don't have to invent anything, right? The tools are there. They are proven. This business model is proven. When you get into a traditional business, do you know how many businesses I see open and close every year? They open their doors, there's the big fanfare, and 8 months, 10 months later, they're done. It's just not sustainable. So the longer I'm in this, the more I realize how sustainable and unique this is. Network marketing is unique because anybody can do it. Anyone can get in. You can work it when you have time to work it. And with consistency, you will be successful. There are people spending 18 hours a day at a traditional business, and they're not successful. If you spend that much time with Plexus, you will be double diamond in no time, right? Like, you invest the time that you have and you reap the rewards. And I can't talk enough about the recognition. And I know that's been touched on already tonight, but you don't get that anywhere else. You don't get someone telling you, good job for being on the leaderboard or having that recognition. People thrive on recognition and positivity, and we don't get that traditionally in a corporate work environment. So for us, it has been really life-changing. And a couple of months ago, I went down to part-time. So my husband still doesn't have a job that earns an income. He is home with our children for the most part because I am on call. But we were able to, because of the supplemental income with Plexus, I was able to go down to part-time. So a lot less time on call, a lot more balance. And I get to show up in my life as the woman that I want to be. I would have just considered that my normal before. Let me rephrase that. I would have thought feeling awful and being a grumpy, exhausted mom and sacrificing myself again and again and again and again was normal. And that was what was expected of me. And to be a professional and a mom, you had to live like this? You don't. There is another way to do this. You do not have to sacrifice yourself and your family. And I didn't realize that there was another option before. So this has been life-changing to realize there is another way to do this. So anyway, I think I'm probably way over my time too. So next up, the beautiful Rebecca Williams, Diamond Gold, to close us out the night, who also went from a corporate environment to being home. So looking forward to hearing more of your story.
Yeah, so before I get started, I have to say I could listen to you talk all night. I love your accent. It's so precious. So try to throw that in there. But I am Diamond Gold Ambassador Rebecca Williams, and I got started with these products about 4 years ago. My sorority sister and friend, Julia Carty, was sharing about the products, and I grew up with her husband, Jared, and they'd been in the ministry. And I just knew them and I knew their integrity, and to see her selling anything on social media really caught my attention, because I was like, okay, I know these people, this must be something good. And I had 2 little boys at the time and had gone to, I was sick and tired, like literally every single month, like so sick and so tired that I thought my computer was freezing, that I had my tonsils removed. So I was like, I cannot get sick again. And so went to my physician and I was like, what is wrong? Like when I wake up in the morning, my joints, like all my hands and my ankles hurt. I just am exhausted. I catch everything. And so she took 8 vials of blood and was like, I think you have an autoimmune condition, but I'm not going to tell you what I think you have because I know you will go to Google and self-diagnose and think you're dying. So I was like, okay, she knew me well. So I went home and really kind of stressed about that. Well, the blood work came back and it was clear. Well, that was wonderful news, but it didn't explain why I felt the way I did. And so I kind of thought about what Julia had shared. And so I told my husband, I was like, okay, listen, I want to try these products, but I'll get my money back if they do not work. And so he was like, okay, fine. So I ordered them. A couple of weeks in, I felt worse. My skin was all broken out. I had a terrible headache all week. And so I called Julia and I was like, well, this is great. I feel worse. And she was like, hang tight. Take the products exactly like I told you to. Okay, Julia, I will take them exactly like you told me. So I was a good little person and took my Probio 5 exactly. I took BioCleanse at 10 and 2 like the bottle said. I mean, I was doing everything to a T. And so about a week later, it was almost like I woke up a new person. Like I felt amazing. Like I said, I had 2 little boys. I was working full time in corporate America in the largest health insurance company in Alabama. Fabulous job, wonderful flexibility, great benefits, like loved my job. Now that was not my goal. Like secretly, I always want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I had to contribute. So that's, I was making the best of where I was. So she was like, hey, would you meet us for lunch and talk about the business? And I was like, fine. Okay, fine. I'll come. So we met, and my children were in daycare, which in Birmingham, to have two in daycare, that's like $2,000 a month. And I walked in and I had my little suit from Blue Cross, and there they were, like hair and top knot, like lounge clothes. Their kids were in the play place. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not business. Like, why is she saying she wants to talk business with me? Like, in the business world, like, we sit in a boardroom and we're in suits, and like, I really was just like, this is okay, whatever. So we sit down, and Andrea Mitchell was there, and she has her laptop and a little slideshow, and I'm completely ignoring, and I'm like, ugh. And I was like, I'm going to have to go. Can I ask you one question? And she was like, sure. And I was like, how much do you make a month? And she was like, well, I made $12,000 last month. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe I'll listen. I was like, what is this girl doing? So I was like, okay, well, I do have to run, but I actually am interested in this business plan. And I got in the car and I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I have to go and put on a suit and put my kids in daycare, and they're living their best life with their kids, making all this money. Like, okay, sign me up. So I talked to Julia that night when I signed up, and I was like, okay, I have an old house that needs renovations, and I want to make $50,000 to renovate my kitchen. And she was like, okay, fine. That was literally the only reason I started, was to do house remodels on my house. So I was like, okay, deep down in my heart, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mama, but I didn't really even think that was possible. So I signed up in November, and then a month later, on December 23rd, my father was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. So here I was, a month into the business, which I hit the ground running. Like, I signed up, I think maybe November 23rd. I hit Leaders Board like week after week after week. My very first check for November, which what was that, like 13 days left in the month. My very first check was $650. I remember thinking, whoa, that's a lot of money. This is great. So I hit the ground running, super excited about the business. And then Daddy got diagnosed, and I was kind of like, what is happening in my life? And then a month after Daddy was diagnosed, we found out we were expecting our third baby, which we had not planned. So it was kind of like life was just crashing down. So here I was working full time, 2 kids, a new business that was kind of going along. And I was just, a month, I wasn't even silver. So let's be honest. I started in November. Here we are, January, pregnant, Daddy dying, all this stuff. And I'm not even silver. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I signed up with Lindsay when Lindsay Russell did. She was a sideline of mine, and I saw her ranking out like crazy, and I'm like, I can't even get silver. This business is not working. So I'm here to tell you, it took me till March to go silver. Okay, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months to go silver. And so I was kind of hanging on by a thread. I'd go to work, work at lunch, go see my daddy after work, and then go home and work a little bit more at night. But I kind of kept trucking along, and I had friends kind of jumping on board. And I remember Brooke Smith had joined me, and she would call me and be all excited. Hey, how's your dad? And it was not good. And well, I signed somebody to our team today. So I had something to talk to Dad about when I go into his room, because what do you talk about to a terminally ill person? It's horrible. So I would be like, hey, Dad, I have 50 people on my plexus team. So it was a sweet time that I had my little team around me encouraging me. But I'll be honest, Daddy died in August. 3 weeks later, I birthed a baby that ended up, he had NAIT. He had a platelet count of 7 when he was born. So essentially we didn't know if he would make it. And so I was like, I cannot do this. So I told Rich, I was like, I went senior gold the end of August. And I told Rich, I was like, I'm quitting. I'm going to give this business till December, and I'm out. I am out. I think I went ruby in November, and I was still like, I can't do this. I really, just because so much was happening in my life, I didn't have the time. But Lord willing, just the Lord is so good and so kind to us. And just, I was surrounded by an amazing group of people that loved on me and poured into me and encouraged me and loved me where I was. And they kept encouraging me to keep going. And so December came and went, and I didn't quit. And I ended up going Emerald that April, right, the following April. So I ended up staying on full time through Emerald, Sapphire, and Diamond. I actually worked 6 months after I hit Diamond because I wanted to be like 100%. We did everything Dave Ramsey. And so, of course, my $50,000 kitchen project turned into double that and all the things. So I did everything I wanted to in my house and got my house just like I wanted it. And then I was like, okay, this is it. Like, the Lord knows the desire of my heart. He knows that I always, always, always wanted to be a stay-at-home mama. But I'm an outgoing person. Like, and we were living as a 2-income family. We depended on my income. So, I had to provide, I had to contribute to my family. And so it was kind of like the Lord's like, okay, you're Diamond. Like, you could have done it at Emerald, but like, this is your sign. Take the leap of faith. Go home with your babies. And I've been home. January's now been a year that I've been home full time with them. Guys, with my father being in the ministry, he was a Methodist minister for 40 years. I was raised in a family that service was kind of our love language. Like, we love to love on people. And I have been able to, like, I picked up a Meals on Wheels route. Now I do that with my children. I'm a lay leader for our confirmation group. Like, I'm able to give back to my community, and I'm able to do that with my children and show them how to love on others. And like, not a day goes by. Like, today, went to the gym at 9:30 and then took my littles to lunch. And I'm just like, I could cry every day with gratitude that the Lord knows the desires of our heart and provides in so many unique ways. And then I'm able to help. Not only are my products able to help other people, but this business opportunity allows me to have the time freedom to make those choices, to volunteer wherever I want to in my church, in my community, and give back. And that has just been so, so, so special. So that is my story, and I appreciate so much you all coming out tonight and spending the evening with us. We've listened to some really great stories. I've enjoyed listening to Ricky and Yara's stories as much as hopefully you guys did too, and Abby too. I always learn something new every time I hear our stories, each of our stories on our team. So thank you guys so much for coming. And if you have any questions, I can stay on for a little bit, but if not, we will see you guys later, and we appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you. Thanks, Sierra.
If anybody, Good night.
Thanks so much. Y'all were amazing.
Yes. That's fun. We'll have to do